You're interviewing for BCBA positions? If you're interviewing for BCBA positions, here's some questions to ask that employer. What are the billable hours for your BCBAs? Is it monthly or is it weekly? What is the caseload? Are any of the RBTs grad students? Because when you have grad student RBTs, listen to me, that's one less person you have to train on ABA principles, and let alone applying the ABA principles to the learners that they're working with. And also, with ABA grad school students, you could delegate tasks to them since they're working with the learner and they have to collect supervision fieldwork hours. I would ask them if the hours are flexible, meaning like, oh, do off 40 hours, right? Typically, like it's considered like a 40-hour work week, but you're not billing exactly 40 hours because we have so much indirect work to be done. Ask them like, oh, because there's some places where you could have flexible schedules where you could go home on a Friday, leave early, and do your indirect work at home. Or there's some places where like, oh no, you have to document or 40 hours here in the clinic. So it's like, damn, for work that I'm not getting paid for, I have to sit in your clinic instead of working from home in the comfort of my own home. Ask them if they have a bonus structure for BCBAs. Ask them if they buy and supply the materials needed for reinforcers and programs for your learners. Ask them what kind of support and training that you guys have as a company that provides for the BCBAs, but also for the RBTs. And ask them, let them know, like, okay, also, what type of behaviors are you seeing with your clients? Because as a new BCBA, if they say, oh yeah, I have someone with so-and-so and you're unfamiliar with that thing, and then ask them like, okay, what kind of support? I've never worked with that kind of population. It's outside of my comfort zone, or can you help, with support and providing support for that learner? Because that's something I'm not familiar with. Like if it's Down syndrome, if it's Williams syndrome, if it's pica, if it's all these different variables that come with our learners, like you want to make sure you know what you're getting into so that you're not setting yourself up for failure. And also ask them too, because some companies provide in-home, clinic, and schools. This is how the kind of structure works, right? When you start an ABA company, if you do decide, you start with in-home services. And then after a while, you start making some money, and then you open up your own clinic. Sometimes people go straight to opening up a clinic instead of doing in-home. So some companies do only in-home, some companies do only clinic, and some companies work in the schools. But there are some companies that do in-home and clinic, and then and then eventually, if you get a school contract, then they do school contracts. So you could be in a home, in a school, or in the clinic. So ask them like, oh, do you have any services in the home, or is it all clinic based, or vice versa? And also consider too, you have indirect time, meaning you have to drive between clients. So ask them like, oh, what's the average distance between clients for your organization? Because if you have to drive 45 minutes or an hour away for a client, that's going towards your indirect time of that 40-hour week. So you need to consider that. And you know what else I like to ask them? I like to ask them how long have they been working for the company and what's the turnover rate there. And ask them if they pay for CEUs. Usually when you become a BCBA, they give you like $500 for the year towards like anything needed. So like CEU is like, it's like an incentive. So use it. Some companies also match like contributions to like your retirement or IRA. So ask that question too. Obviously, if you work for like a bigger organization, and not necessarily like a bigger one, but like I've worked for a smaller clinic and they had matching for IRA.